Divinely Driven Results show, where you learn and implement divine strategies for real results in your business. I'm your host, Elise Smith, Christian business strategist, and I get to empower Christian women entrepreneurs all over the world to be able to step into their power as a daughter of God to fulfill the purpose God has called them to fulfill through their business. So you get to reach those sales goals that you've always wanted to achieve. Now, I want to ask you guys, there might be a part of you that's thinking in your mind, like, what in the world can I do to attract my divine client? And if you've ever had this thought, we're going to talk to you today about something that could be holding you back from attracting that divine client and what you can do about it. In fact, my incredible guest today, her name is Lorrel Elian. Sorry if I said that wrong here, Laurel. And she is our client attraction queen. Guys, have you heard that? Client attraction queen. So you're going to want to get out your pens and papers and take amazing notes here today, because she is going to give you the golden nuggets that are keeping you from getting and attracting that divine client that you're looking for and what you can do about it. So Laurel, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you, first of all, Elise, for sharing me with your audience, for trusting me at that level. And so I'm coming in from Saskatchewan, Canada, and I've been an online business coach since 2015, but I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. I often say I should look a lot older. So I love being in business. I love to serve, and that's always been in my heart. And I love when I can share what it is that I do or the product that I have with someone and they receive it. And so what I'm doing today comes actually from my own struggles in figuring out the business world. I'm kind of artsy fartsy in a lot of the ways that I am in my life. And so I love to bring that creativity into my world. And I often say that what I do in my business, I do in my life. And to me, integrity and alignment is priority. Even before I understood what those words really meant to me, my journey in being a business coach today comes from being in integrity and alignment. So thanks so much for having me on.
Of course. And you can see that in everything that you do. I mean, I've known you for a short period of time, but I've been blown away by that integrity and the alignment and your knowledge and experience that you're able to share with the world. So I'm so happy to have you here today. So when, I asked about what kind of topic you wanted to speak on, and this one came up, I love to get an insider's peek here. What was it that made you want to talk about this topic today?
This is such a big part of my business, and actually everybody's business, but they misunderstand that client attraction, because often we put stuff out there and think that, oh, the copy will work, and it does to a degree, but what about attracting ideal clients? This is something that over 80% of your business is focused around, and people don't really understand it. Years ago, I was what I call the anti-business card coach or business person, because I found it really frustrating. How come I gave cards and nobody ever called me, or going to events and here's my card. And I didn't really understand follow-up. How many trade shows have you been to and you put your name into the draw that people actually do follow up with you? In 20 years, I think it only happened once. And what was that all about? So this is really my struggle, that in coming into this online world, that's the reason why I found my first coach, was because where I live in Saskatchewan, which is very similar to Utah, that you can drive for miles and miles and you don't see anybody. And what about those that you want to serve? well, how many more do you have to go through? So I knew that I needed to do something different. So relationship marketing, we hear a lot about it, but what does that mean? Networking, we hear a lot about it and we think we participate in it, but what does that really mean? So one of the things that really stood out for me from my coach, my first coach, was that she said, in business, if cash is king, connection is queen.
Mm.
And that I knew that in that moment I heard that was part of the missing piece. So I went really deep into understanding that. So in business, my background is over 20 years in the beauty industry. I worked very closely with people and make makeovers and um, working with people that this thing would happen. I would do color draping. If your audience hasn't heard that, it's because they're too young. And it's fitting in the colors that work with what's most appropriate with you. You're based on your color, your eyes, your skin, your hair, and all of this. And then I did also the hair color, the hair shaping, and the clothing. And the first time they would have this experience, it was truly euphoric for them. They were like, wow. And myself as the person facilitating that, it was quite a high for me also. And then the second time they'd come, it was like it was flat, and I would wonder what I had done wrong. Maybe the shaping wasn't right, or and that's really where I started diving into the psychology. And back then there was an actual course that was over 30 years ago, salon psychology. And so what I started to understand, that it wasn't that external part of them that they were unhappy with. I started noticing that they were looking into their eyes when the overall picture was, it wasn't the outside, it was the inside. So fast forward today, it was leaving the beauty industry and going into a real estate career at the time of a boom, because I really did want to make a lot of money so I could travel more and discover more of the world. But I came into the world, the real estate world, at a time when my experience had been touchy-feely, and my clients loved me and we talked that way to each other. But coming into real estate, which is very analytical, logical, and I wasn't emotionally equipped to be there. I did really well, but it was such a struggle. And working with people that aren't your ideal client, today I'm so acutely aware of why I struggled, because I needed to find my people. And I ended up very sick, and that's how I found this healing path I'm on today. And one of the honestly, I do believe that the work that I've been doing in my business is amongst the deepest spiritual work that I've done, because everything comes back to me. How am I performing for me? And it starts with first thing in the day. Women that go on that path of sharing their talent, their product, their skill with the world, they often come from that place of passion, and then it goes to a place of selling. So they lose their path, and it becomes work. And one of the things that I learned along the way is that the root of the word passion means to struggle. It means pain, to suffer. And when we look at the passion play of Christ, that's where that comes from, that from the struggle, from the suffering. And we're not meant to suffer in this life. Everything is perfectly aligned. Your body, your mind, your emotions, and what happens when we're not working with our ideal clients. We go on a very deep dive into, we either meet that challenge or we don't. And when we don't, it means that we often end up frustrated, self-sabotage, dis-ease, dysfunction in our body and our life. And so when we're in alignment, the struggle is real, and we're meant to learn from that. So I struggled in great discomfort in my body, my relationships, my business for some time. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. When you identify who your ideal client is, um, it it raises you on a human level. It raises you on a spiritual level because you're providing service. And when we have that experience of that service or product you provide landing for your people, I still get goosebumps. I get goosebumps. That's why I do what I do, because it's so, don't you find that, Elise?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can have like the worst day possible, and then I hop on a coaching call with someone and I feel like $1,000,000 afterwards. You know what I mean? Because we've been given these talents and these gifts, and even the challenges. I love how you said that our passion comes from that pain, comes from the struggle and the challenge, because it wouldn't mean anything to us if there wasn't that in the beginning, right? And so, that we can use that to be able to serve our divine client. So, let's kind of like bottom line it for him. What is the truth about why people are not identifying and not attracting their divine client?
Because it's probably the most boring part to learn in the beginning. And it's so foundational. Back when we had phone books, honestly, that's the spaghetti method. It's everybody with a body, and that's what my teachers used to say to me. And it's not true at all, because one of the ways that I teach some of the work that I do is in a live-in retreat. So if you get the wrong client and for 10 or 12 days, you're in a retreat with them, that it's really uncomfortable. That's one of the places where I learned. So discovering who it is that you want to work with. Who is it that you want to serve in your business? Because anybody with a body is selling. And you're selling when people don't ask you questions, people don't lean in. People will say, oh, that sounds like a really good sales pitch. That's what used to
Mhm.
happen for me. And then we start shutting down, closing off, and we start Paris, drawing from everyone around us. When you're in front of your ideal client, you know exactly the words to speak. You understand in their heart. You understand the problem that you solve for them in your own unique way. When you're doing that, you're no longer selling, you're serving. So
Mm.
when you identify who your ideal client is, that is the highest level of service.
Yes, absolutely. And I tell my clients and my audience all the time, there are literally people on their knees praying for you right now to find them, so that you can share those gifts, those talents, those experiences that God has given you to serve that very particular person. And so I like how you said it's because it's boring, right? Like it can be boring to identify that divine client, of going through the demographics and the psychographics. But once you do, it is magic and it just clicks, just like you talked about. Now, let's talk about the selflessness part of this and the self-care part. We were talking just a few minutes ago, and I asked her, how does the self-care and the selflessness, because I know you have a passion for speaking about that, how does that tie into divine clients? And I have to tell you, she gave me such an incredible answer. So, Laurel, tell us more about that.
Yes, because how you start your day sets the tone for your day. And that was, as women, that there's a lot of conditioning going along with taking care of everybody else, and you have to take care of you first. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life. And where do you have aches and pains? Where do you have doubts? How is your thinking process? And I learned this through the challenges that I prided myself on, putting in long days, on working hard. That word, even when you say it, say it to yourself right now and see how that feels with that emphasis, that emotion in your body. How does that feel? Okay. And then say the word soft and how that feels. The words that you speak create a lot of conditioning in your everyday life. So going to bed earlier. I prided myself on being a night owl. I deprived myself of sleep for most of my life. And when I dived into the work around that, I realized that that was a lot of suffering I was creating from conditioning that I heard around, you got to work hard, get up early, and so on, and how it affects my brain function today. I've had a couple of concussions from working hard, slipping on ice, going to visit clients, and so on. And to me, I really do believe that that was the divine messages coming through, is like, pay attention. Are you just running around without being aware of your movements? Are you serving everybody else, but you're not even aware of each step that you take? So for me, it is about body movement, hydration. Those brain injuries impacted my ability to remember. And when I was in the busiest in real estate, it was priding myself on keeping all of the information in my head. I got this, I got this. Multitasking, they're proving that through science that that is not healthy. We are not meant to work that way. It's through momentary parts of our day, yes, but we, because of technology, we stay there. So taking care of your body first. And then what started happening is I got healthier, nourishing my body, doing body movement, because you're designed you perfectly, and your body's meant to heal itself. But using it is the path to that, using it in the appropriate way, using your mind, doing your devoting your awareness to your sacred aspects of yourself is so important, because without that, you lose the vision and are serving everybody else needlessly and unconsciously. So when I started doing that, people started coming to me. I would be at trade shows and credit card in hand, literally. I don't know what it is that you teach, but here's my credit card, and I don't even know how much it is. If there's not enough on this card, I've got more. And that was, boom. I understood in that moment. And so I strive for that. I consider myself kind of a biohacker. And in our house, it's important too for my partner, my husband, my partner in life to be on path with that too. So how we eat, what happens at the dinner table, because we've got a lot of challenges with that drive-through mentality in life. That's how are you serving your body? How are you serving your life? So sitting to meals, connecting eye to eye, soul to soul with your children, and then that carries over to your business.
It is all connected, right? Like sometimes we compartmentalize our spiritual life and our business and our regular life and family and all these types of things. But the fact of the matter is we're one human being, we're one whole person, and all those pieces are part of who we are. And so I love the fact that this is a completely different way to look at how you're attracting your divine client. It starts with you. We've heard you can't give from an empty well, but what we were talking about earlier is why would people buy into you if you're not buying into yourself? Powerful, powerful stuff. And when you can start to get that alignment of taking, inventory of who that divine client is, knowing who that person is, asking God who that person is, and then taking care of yourself so you can attract those different types of people who you're meant to serve, that's where it's at, right?
Absolutely. People often think that they are giving up something, but that is the sign when it feels like you're when you're changing, that you're giving up something. That's your own personal, I'll use the word sacrifice, but it is transformation, in that you're trading up to a higher level, and it is uncomfortable. It's meant to be that way. Mm-hmm. And your people that you want to attract, you want those ones that are willing to trade up to that new level of you, to buy in to you. But if you're not willing to do it, that's going to be reflected in your business.
Oh, absolutely. So I hope you guys were taking notes the whole time. This is such an incredible way to look at attracting your divine client. Yes, it's going to take, some work, and you're going to be able to, take that to the Lord and figure out who that person is for you. But it starts with us. We've got to start taking care of ourselves and really continue taking care of ourselves so that we can attract that type of person. And so we can be there for those opportunities when those things come. So beautiful. So Laurel, if people want to know more about you and what you're up to, tell us more about that.
Yeah, so I have a Facebook group that I love people to join in. It came from giving entrepreneurs a place to stretch and grow. It's called Aspiring to Inspiring. And in the beginning, it was to, have that place for my clients to come and do their lives, to be seen and be heard. And I learned so something about myself is I've always had these teachers that have put me out there or given me the skills to go out there and speak to larger audiences. So I'm comfortable with being on stage, although I still am nervous. And with all of that training, I've from the time I was 6 years old, I've been speaking on stage. And this new world, this new economy that we're in requires us to be seen and heard in our business. So to use social media to our greater advantage. So I created Aspiring to Inspiring for those to willingly come and do their first live or learn how to do it. And they didn't come. So now what's happening is I'm taking people on a guided journey, how to be there. Like your podcast, Elise, it's guiding people to be comfortable or to be seen and be heard. So it doesn't matter what level you're at. If you're just new, I guide people through to that level of getting over that hump that happens because we are afraid for whatever reason to not be the picture of our business. So I do interviews in there, I guide people, and it's evolving that we have very beginning to multimillionaires. And what I love about entrepreneurs is that we're all passionate about what it is that we're doing to serve. So come and be served there. And I've just launched a new program, and I do have a special offer for your people. And when I work with people, it's often on a longer one-on-one basis, but I'm doing more group programs. And this is the first in this area. And it's called how to be interviewed like a pro. And for your group, I'm just launching it, and it's valued at hundreds of dollars. It's a master class that I give you a script in that it helps you to customize your script. I show you what goes on behind the scenes, and I show you a way to be comfortable with yourself so that you feel confident being interviewed. Maybe you're at the level of interviewing others or you want to interview others. This will also give you some background to that. And the special offer to your people today is $29.99. Just to come, because I really do want to serve, and I know that, and I understand that if you don't put yourself out there, you're creating that blockage yourself. So I want to burst through that creativity block or that self-sabotage block and give you tools that take you to that next step. So
Awesome.
yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm mostly on Facebook. I'm on other platforms, but Facebook is where I'm comfortable.
Good. And we'll include the links so you guys can check that out for sure. So check out Aspiring to Inspiring Facebook group, and also what she is going to post here in the comments, and also we'll have that for you as well. So Laurel, thank you so much. And if you guys want to continue to learn amazing tips and tricks and strategies to build your business in the Lord's way as opposed to the world's way, come check out our Faithful Ladypreneurs Facebook group. It's called Faithful Ladypreneurs, and we'd love to have have you come join our incredible community of other Christian women entrepreneurs who are looking to grow their business in the Lord's way. So Laurel, thank you so much for being part of our show today.
Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me into your community also. Have a beautiful day, Elise.
Thank you. All right, guys, we will see you next time.